So what's going on, bro?
Hey, peace and black power, everybody. I want to welcome you to another NCRBGZ Productions. With that being said, like always, we want to thank you for taking your time out your busy schedule to be here with us today. Give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, leave a comment, share the video, let your family know that we live right now. And we want to jump right in. We got a good topic set up for the family. We have more people that should be coming in as the show go on. And I want to give my panel members the opportunity to introduce themselves to the family, and we're going to dive right into this conversation.
Hello, everybody. I'm Natasha, and I'm based in the UK. I am here to just learn and also impart whatever knowledge I have on the sensitive topic that we have today. I have a podcast, Power Sessions with Natasha, and a YouTube channel, Power Sessions with Natasha. And I'll let everyone else introduce themselves.
All right. My name is Andrea Lars. I'm a Mason. I do a lot of community work, trying to get a couple Black businesses going, as well as some podcast things going for the Black community. That's as far as I know, and from the United States, Kansas City, Missouri.
Nabat, peace family. It's Nabat Khafaf-Rayay Am.
Hey,
hope everybody's enjoying their weekend and being safe out there. And this should be a good topic today. I'm just here to listen and learn, maybe chime in on some things that I may know that can help somebody in the community.
All right, with that being said, I also want to thank y'all, the panel members, for actually taking y'all time out to be here today, because y'all can be doing other things as well, right? So with that being said, yeah, we want to jump right in. We know that in the Black community, there's a lot of things that's going on. We have a lot of problems that need to be fixed, talked about, and worked on. So, today we want to discuss the sexual, physical, and mental abuse that is going on in the Black community. So now it's different layers to this. Now we can slice this pie in different ways, but the way that I wanted to start off this was between the Black woman and the Black man. That's how I wanted to start this conversation off, is dealing with the Black woman and the Black man and the sexual, physical, or mental abuse that is caused between Black women and Black men in relationships that is prevalent in our communities. So with that being said, I want y'all to unmute y'all mic and we can jump right in. You know me, sometimes I lead off, sometimes I don't. Today I'm not gonna lead off. I'm gonna kind of like work my way into it. So Natasha, from a woman perspective, what do you think about what I said when I was talking about the problems between the Black man and the Black woman as far as relationships, emotionally, physically, mentally, and sexually?
I think hurt people hurt people. If you come from a home where, how we grow up, the homes we grow up are very vital as to who we become as adults. If you grew up in a home where there was sexual abuse, some people then go on not to become sexual abusers as such, but then abusers in a different way. And I think sometimes in the Black community, because we have such a community of, you don't talk about this, we don't talk about this, we don't snitch, we don't talk about this, we don't do that. The whole sexual abuse problem has been going on for generation to generation to generation. And I think some people are trying to change it now, where they speak up against it, and we or speak up about it, that they've experienced the abuse as a child or as, whatever age it's happened. But I think sometimes people can meet partners where he's been abused. It could be sexually, it could be emotionally, it could be mentally. in the way that he grew up, and then she's also gone through abuse, but we don't believe in therapy. As a people, we don't endorse therapy, unless you come from a certain type of background. But most Black people sort of just live with their traumas and hope that they figure it out. And we do the normal human thing where you think another person's going to fix you, or you're going to find your healing in the other person. And I think that's where then we then breed another generation where the relationship is toxic. You mentally then abuse your partner, or you're abusing each other because you've got your own shit to deal with. And then, you know, sometimes then in your own home, there is now sexual abuse as well. So I think it's because we don't break the generational curses. We're a community that doesn't speak up about things, and when somebody does speak up about it, they're not believed, or we doubt them. You know, and this is a community thing. It's worldwide. This is not a Black American problem. This is on the continent. It is an issue as well. It is a problem within the whole worldwide Black community. I think that is where, when people are in relationships, they are not seeking therapy. They are not telling their partner, I was abused. This is the home I grew up in. You know, or sometimes you might know that your partner grew up in an abusive, but you don't know the extent of it. The extent needs to be known by your partner, you know, because everybody needs to know what they're dealing with. And then when you have children and nobody knows the extent, it's horrific. We're just raising the same cycle of abuse. This is my own sort of thing that I've seen. I've never personally been abused sexually. Have I been abused mentally? No. Have I been abused emotionally? To a certain level, I have. You know, and have I dealt with my stuff? Yes, I have. I went through a life coach that I went through for about a year, and that helped me with my emotional abuse. Am I emotionally abusive? No, I'm not an emotionally abusive person. Was I then before the therapy that I went through? No, I wasn't. It made me more empathetic as a human being. It never made me become an abusive person. But I am aware of the fact that I've gone through emotional abuse of a certain extent. It's not extreme emotional abuse, but it's to a certain level that it's not normal. And I'm aware of that. And it's okay to say I have gone through some level of type of abuse. Sexual abuse is the worst of it, whether it's a boy or a girl who grows into a woman or a man. It is equal. We cannot say it is worse when it's a girl, it is worse when it's a boy. It is equal. It is the worst type of abuse. And our community really needs to work on finding ways of where we teach our children about their bodies when they are young. Don't be embarrassed to teach your child that nobody touches this part of your body. And if anybody says to you there's secrets, you tell the person there are no secrets. You come to me straight away. You know, we need to teach our children, weaponize your children against the enemies. If we teach our children, nobody touches this part of your body, this part of your body, let that be a natural thing in the home. It's not a sexualized thing when a parent is teaching their child. If you're a single dad, teach your kid that, whether they're male or female. If you're a single mother, teach your boy, teach your girl that. There is nothing wrong with making your child aware of their own body, not in a sexual way, in a nobody touches that part of you. You know, so I think that's my 2 cents for now about it.
Well, you know, you touched on a lot. You touched on a whole lot. And one thing that you touched on that stood out to me is the fact that in the Black community, we don't talk about stuff. You know, for some odd reason, you know, we feel like we have to hold it in and we don't want to let it out, you know, because we feel like we have to take it, you know, especially when you've been a victim of something, you feel like you can't tell nobody it's your fault. You blame yourself for what happened. until you understand better, especially the situation of what may have happened. But I know that we have to talk, and you said hurt people hurt people. That's so true, because a hurt person will hurt another person because they don't know. And see, also people have to understand their worth. A lot of times in life, people don't understand who they really are, and they don't understand the worth, or they don't believe that they are worth something. You have to start from within before you can start looking outward, right? So, like, if you got somebody that's always looking outward but never looking within, people that's outside of you can see stuff that you don't see because you yourself. But people on the outside can see what's going on, but you don't see it yourself until you look within yourself to find out who you are. And that's where it has to start with, is knowing who you are. And then once you know who you are, it'll help you eliminate some of these type of abuses. Now, some of the abuses, it will not help you eliminate, especially when you're dealing with children. But as far as the Black man and the Black woman, a lot of times we haven't been taught how to be in a relationship or how to sustain a relationship, especially if you grew up in a broken home where you have one father, or your mother and your father is breaking up, or you know what I'm saying? It's not a secure home, so you don't see security. You see your mama kicking your daddy out and then another man in. Like, if this is what you see growing up, you become accustomed to what you're seeing, and that becomes your reality. So now what you saw as a kid growing up is your reality. In actuality, that is the reality that you have seen, but that might not be the correct reality, right? So we have to start understanding to fix problems. And also your parents, like, it comes a point in time in life when what you want don't matter no more. And I think as adults, we have to understand that it comes a point in time where what we want don't matter no more, is what's best for our children. And I think once we start understanding that, realizing that, and acting upon that, it's going to change relationships. I really believe it will change relationships, because now you understand you're doing what's best for your kids. And so your happiness, like, hey, I'm sorry, you might not be happy. I'm sorry. But I mean, that's the way I look at it, man. But y'all can jump in.
Y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, I hear you, bro.
Natasha and Saharu, y'all just damn near to the words of my mouth, for real, really. We gotta communicate better with our children. We shouldn't dismiss our children.
Thanks.
And seriously, we gotta have make them feel comfortable. Don't make them feel scared. I can't come to mom and daddy or auntie or whoever to tell them about something, because they might beat me. They're gonna cuss me out. They're gonna hate me and all this kind of stuff. We ought to be able to talk about things. I mean, have a better, it comes down to discipline again, right? I do believe in disciplining children, but sometimes we put so much discipline in them, they don't trust us. They don't want to tell us nothing. And you can learn a lot from children. I know we're old and everything, but we gotta have a better communication system with our kids. And y'all were talking about damn, that was so much something. Damn, they'll come back to my mind, but y'all definitely but if men gotta be around in the house, that's a problem too. Like you said, Sarah Ruth, the men, even if you're not with the woman, have a communication and a relationship with your. And like I said, they're gonna tell you nothing, they're scared of you, they hate your guts and stuff, and they're gonna tell you nothing. But we gotta be around more for our children, because you got a lot of predators out there. They might be in your own family. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
So we just got to, as far as men, we got to step up to the plate and stop running from every damn thing, and we gotta protect our children. That's big, man. That's big. You ain't gotta be with a woman no more. Be there for your children. And we done lost that it takes a village mentality. We don't go back no more. But some people in the village is messed up. We can't trust some of the people in our own community no more because, you know, that's what's going on. So that's like a catch-22 right there, you know, the village. I'm done. Whoever want to talk next.
I think Seth Haru touched on a really great topic when great point when you said the family unit, you know, that is the beginning and end of it all. Where how you grow up seeing, you know, men coming in out of the home. We need to break that kind of cycle. We need to break that cycle. You know, if you're with somebody, I know relationships don't always work out, but as he said, let's do what is best for our children. And I think abuse comes more when you let more people into your family circle, when you allow people who are not of that family circle to now penetrate. That is how abuse extends into other things, I think. The family unit, unfortunately, in all communities, in our community, is just decimated. There's more single mothers, more single dads, just more single raising. And there needs to be more family units. You know, everybody sticking together. Even if you're not together, you can still be a family unit. That is still totally possible. It's up to you whether you keep it or not. And as you said, Neb, you know, even if you are not together, try by all means to have a communication, because we have this thing in our community where we think kids have to be scared of their parents, you know, do you know who I am? And all that stuff. It's like, okay, fine, you've put the fear of God in your children and now they can't communicate with you. You can't communicate with them because you want to be this powerful person. And then what? You've got the power, and then what? 20 years later, you hear your kid telling you that somebody abused me and you were not aware of it. It happened right under your nose because what? You wanted to be this mighty person in your home. We need to step away from that. We really, really need to step away from that, because that is another thing. That's like going back to slavery. You know, we're bringing that kind of behavior and anger into our homes, where our children can't talk to us. They can't talk to us. What is the point in all that? So I do think that the black man and the black woman, if you say you are pro-black or you are pro your race, can we please be pro-black family then? You know, having more black children, having more black people in the world, but the family unit, whatever angle that it's coming from, we need to treat it with respect and have a point where our kids can talk to us. I think that's really, really important for our community, to be honest with you.
Yes, I agree. You know, we have to have an open line of communication. Just like we say, communication is big for between the couples. Same as goes with your children. You know, you want your children to be comfortable to come tell you anything. You want them to tell you anything and don't hide anything from you. And understand that even though they may tell you something you may not want to hear, you would rather for them to let you know than don't let you know. You know, so we have to all work on that. You know, and it all boils down to is the little devil we have within inside of us. You know, because we have to fight that daily battle ourselves, right? So when you talk about a lot of the the fathers not being in the homes and you have single parents, you know, we have to correct that balance, because that's a balance. And if anything is unbalanced, then you know that it's going to lead to unbalance as far as what your children will see, right? So, you know, right now, the times that we living in is very peculiar. You have a lot of different things that's changing right before our eyes. And as you know, as parents, we have to guard our children, especially as black men. The black men, as a black man, my job is to protect my woman and my children at all costs. At all costs. If it costs me to lose my life, That's my job. And I have to be willing to accept that that is a possibility and be okay with it. So as far as that, we have a lot of unlearning and relearning that we have to do.
Yes.
And we have to take this thing, take it and go full forward with it. A lot of us may be in the cycles, that we are part of, and we have to end that cycle because we don't want our children to go through the same thing we went through. So especially when it comes to the abuse situation, as men, we have to understand that a lot of our women are battered themselves, and sometimes we physically, mentally, emotionally abuse them. And we have to own up to it, and stop being selfish, to understand that when you are in the midst of a relationship, you have to make sacrifices. And it's not going to be the way you want it to be all the time, right? You're going to have things that happen that is out of your control, but you have to work together as in for the unit, because all together you're a unit. And just like an air conditioner unit, right? An air conditioner unit has different parts to that unit, right? But each part has a specific role to play for the unit to work the correct way. That's the same way with a family. As a family, each participant of that family has a role to play, so the family can move and to move and to execute as a unit, and we have to define our roles also. Roles have to be defined, and we have to understand our roles and play our roles, and then we can move as a unit, right? And we have to clean this up, man, especially when it's dealing with our children and a lot of this sexual abuse that is going on, especially with our children at young ages. We have to be aware and root this shit out, because I have a no tolerance rule with me. I believe you're supposed to chop their damn heads off. That's just my rule. That's what I believe, and I live by that. And I'm willing to deal with the consequences. But that's to each his own. You get what I'm saying? So I don't want to go on a tender. I see we have a brother that just joined the show. I want to give him the chance to unmute his mic and say hi to the family.
Hey, peace, family. It's your brother in the back. So I'm just glad to join the conversation. It's a much needed topic to speak on right now. I know there's it's definitely a lot of abuse going on in our community, and it's actually heightened since this whole pandemic. So that's definitely something that we want to address and get down to the solution of how we can avoid this in the future. So yeah, glad to be a part of the discussion.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up because I was talking to somebody yesterday, and we was talking about how a lot of the children have been posting there in our area. They've been posting, class of 2021, the ones that's supposed to be graduating. And a lot of them are pregnant. A lot of the girls are pregnant. So what you said about, now this may not be abuse because of us of the pandemic, but what it's showing is lack of parentship. And I think that some of this abuse and lack of parentship go hand in hand. I think one hand wash the other hand, so I can see that since the kids been out from school, you have a lot of girls that's going to school next year in my area where I stay that are pregnant and they're going to be graduating next year. And it seems as if since they've been out of school, since March, April is May, they've been out of school. I mean, March, actually, yeah. They've been out of school. That has been a lot of free time where parents haven't been parenting because a lot of us send our kids to school to get rid of them, you know, because we had looked forward to that time to do what we want to do while they're in school. And now that they've been home, you know, they ain't been really been. But I'll leave that alone. Y'all go ahead, man. I don't want to change the subject.
Y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you,
Yeah.
brother.
It's a doggone shame. Like I said, doggone, I ain't be cussing all the time. But it's a doggone shame that we lost control. Not all of us, but some of us lost control of our children. You know what I mean? Even though school's out, it don't matter. Where's the
Hey Neb, you fading out. I think you might be holding your finger over the microphone. You fade in and out. I don't know if it's the reception or if you got your hand over the microphone, or maybe you might have to take your headset out while you talk.
hear me now?
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yep, that's perfect.
Okay. I said it's a doggone shame that we have lost control of our children. Some of us have lost control of our children. Where did we go wrong? Are we trying to turn up too much, more like the kids? Are we too busy talking about the new 40 is new 30, which sounds kind of ignorant, you know what I'm saying, in a way? If you think about it, new 50 is new 40. So that means we're never growing, we're stagnant or something. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with you want to have a little party. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing, but damn, we partying more than with our children. That's one of the problems. Some of these mothers are partying with their damn children. And like Seheru said, all these men in and out of the damn house. What kind of example you leave? You know, we have lost control of our children. And it's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous, you know. How y'all feel about that?
I think what we need to do is we need to come together and we need to remember our ancestors. We need to remember our mothers, our grandmothers, and the wisdom and the lessons that they taught to us, because I think that a lot of that is what's fading, is the family structure. You may still have a mother and a father in the home, but still lack a certain level of family structure that many of us may have been raised on, and it's kind of been dwindling over the last couple of generations. But like I say, man, we just need to get back those morals and principles of family structure that that our ancestors had, that our grandmothers had. And I'm not saying that was exactly perfect, but it was a better example than where we are today. And it seems as though the further we go back in time into our history, that family structure, the example of that is more profound and more pronounced. So, we can start off right now and bringing it up to the day and time by taking those principles from our grandmothers, our immediate ancestors and relatives that may have passed on and still had some of those things, and just remember to teach those things to the younger generation. That's what I think is the key importance that we have right now. And the fact that we lack that, the fact that I think that we kind of slowed down or halted or whatever the case may have been, of passing on those morals and ethics of our parents and of our grandparents and our ancestors. I think that's what's also contributing to, just like I say, just the lack of morals and ethics in the younger generation. And we can't just blame them. We got to kind of take responsibility ourselves. So, like I say, man, y'all can give what y'all think on that. But that's pretty much what I think most important right now.
Yeah. I like your point, Brother Nabat, and Brother Neb. I'm just going to add on to what you've both said. When we say the Black community, who do we identify as right now? Our identity as a people, who do we emulate? Who are we like? The Black community is no longer representing what Brother Nabat said about the ancestors. We now want to be like the people who are not like us, who introduced sexual abuse into the community. This raping of children, these disgusting things happening to children, has been introduced to us by who? We know who introduced this stuff. You know, they had a free for all when they were abusing us and enslaving us and all of that. And it's now been passed on to generations and generations of our own people. The disease has entered our people. It's now been a disease for generations. Who do we identify as? The moment we stop identifying with ourselves, the woman becomes a broken person. The man becomes a broken person. The child you produce becomes a broken person because nobody is identifying with their true self, right? So now we have mental abuse. In my culture, I'm from Zimbabwe. I'll explain something to you. My title on my father's side in my language is called Tete. Tete is the person who is born for the children of her brothers and sisters, right? That role means that my niece and my nephews, whatever they go through life, from the day that they are born, whether they are wrong or right, my role is to be there for them. I am their first point of contact. I am their first point of, even if they meet someone and want to introduce them to the family, marry somebody, have a boyfriend, tribulations, whatever. We no longer have that in the Black community. We don't take our roles as aunties and uncles and this seriously. The aunties and uncles have now become the abusers, right? And nobody's addressing that. We all want to bury our heads and go, auntie, uncle. No, no. The disease introduced to us has infected our people. The aunties and the uncles cannot be trusted. So what do we do as a community about that? The first thing we do is speak about it. You, uncle, you're an abuser. We know you abused my cousin when we were growing up. Call the police, have him locked up. You, uncle, you're an abuser. You abused this person. Call the police, have him locked up. Auntie, you're an abuser. Get these people locked up. There are people who I know who know, oh, that person abused me, abused my cousin. And this person is walking around free, calls them, hi, how are you? As if nothing happened. But they've told family members, this has happened to me. Nobody does anything. Are we really, have we become that senseless and that misdirected that we don't value the lives of our own? We don't value ourselves? It's a self-reflection thing. Do we not value each other and value the life of what we are as a Black individual, that when somebody says to you, this happened to me this time, report these people to the police. Yes, we know the police are pedophile sympathizers. We know that. We all know that. But we have to do something. We really have to do something. If you know there are people you can trust in your family, have that ancestral family structure. It helps. It seeds out the bad people. It allows your children to know that it's not only mommy and daddy who are there for me. Do you know what it's like for a child to know that they have an extended support system? It empowers a child. It empowers people, you know. But I do think it goes back to the Black community. Who are we trying to identify as? Who are we trying to identify as? Stop identifying as the people who introduced this pedophilia stuff into our people, right? That's why when I said hurt people, sexual abuse was introduced to us.
Hey, the queen jumped. She hit the spot on, man. And but let me answer some of your questions. They don't need to call the police. Nah, we need street justice. Because the word need to get out on the street is, if this is who you are, you're gonna be terrified to walk the streets. If you're a child molester, if you're abusing young women, you need to be terrified that you would turn yourself in. Because if we get our hands on you, we're gonna beat the shit out of you. Like, this is what has to happen. We have to put the fear back in these people that if you do this, X, Y, or Z, this is your result. So you better hope the police get you before we get you. And the problem is, everybody is comfortable. That's the problem. We are too comfortable. We're so comfortable with everything that's going on that we don't want to ruffle no feathers. Don't nobody want to call their abusive goddamn uncle or aunt out. They don't want to do it because we're too comfortable. We don't want to say nothing. We don't want to, like if you look at, let's look at water, y'all. If you got water in a barrel, right? And if that water is still and not moving, it's still, right? That's how we are right now. Don't nobody want to drip, because once a drip of water hit that water, what it do? It causes little ripples all throughout the water, right? Right now, our water is still. Ain't nobody trying to drop nothing in the water to make waves or ripples within the water. They want to, because everybody comfortable. Everybody want to stay where they at. Everybody, see, the problem is we love this physical body too much. We in love with this physical body and the physical plane that we're in, that we have lost connection with our spirits. We're not spiritual at all. We claim to be spiritual. But if you were spiritual, you wouldn't care about the flesh. You wouldn't care about this worldly world that we living in. I'm about to preach, goddamn. Y'all better slow me down.
AMUN.
Y'all better slow me down. But listen, this is the problem. This is exactly what the problem is, man. And until people start understanding that we, meaning you, me, Nell, Nabat, Natasha, we are the ones that's going to have to correct this problem. We corrected ourselves. It's not going to happen outside of us. Ain't no cops going to come save us. I'm sorry for you religious folks. Ain't no Jesus going to come save us. We have to save ourselves. We're going to have to put the work in. Just like, and this is with everything. This is not just dealing with sexual abuse and physical abuse. This is with every aspect of everything that's going on. We are the answers. The problem is, when are we going to start answering? But we don't want to ruffle no feathers. Don't nobody want to do that. Everybody want to watch. Everybody just want to watch. We just, yeah. I'm with you, man. Black power. I'm with you. Black power. Okay, well, show us black power. You get what I'm saying? Show it. But y'all go ahead, man, before I say some shit.
Brother Nabat had his hand up. Brother Nabat?
Go ahead, Nabat.
Yeah. Oh, okay. No, I didn't think I had my hand up, but yeah, I just wanted to say, man, yeah, you're absolutely right. We just gotta we have to know our rights. First of all, we don't even know that we have the right to come to the aid of another. You literally have the right to stand up and defend any person who is being molested, right? Who is being abused, right? Who you personally witness being molested, who you personally witness being abused. You have the right to stand up and defend and use deadly force, if necessary, to defend the life of any individual, right? Being abused at all. That's not just that's a part of self-defense, but it's also a right of every individual in this country. So and that counts for, like we showed before, that counts as well for police officers who are overstepping their boundaries and using excessive force or abusing any citizen unlawfully. Any bystander has the right, in the case of excessive force or in the case of unlawful arrest or abuse of an individual, you have the right to step up and defend the individual against a so-called police officer. But we don't know that we have these rights. So, like I say, man, we just need to we need to educate ourselves. We need to step up. We need to arm ourselves. We need to learn how to defend ourselves physically as well, and just get back those morals and principles of our ancestors. Like the brother said, it's no more going to the police or depending on the the police departments to defend us. That's literally not their job. Their job is to protect corporations and buildings, structures, property, and the commonwealth of the city that they're operating in. So we just need to know that our function is to protect ourselves. It's not any uniformed officer. You know what I mean? And we have the right to do so. So, anybody want to touch on that?
Yeah, brother, I had on, it's all about accountability, man. At the end of the day, it's about accountability. And we say this a lot, either you're a builder or you're a destroyer, right? Either you building or you destroying. It's either one or the other. There's no in between. It's one or the other. And no matter what issues that we're talking about, it still applies. It still applies, y'all. So it's a lot of stuff going on in the Black community that we have to weed out, man. It's a lot of stuff, man. We have to just be open about it for one, because if anybody know that anybody that's ever recovered from being a drug addict or anything, I'm gonna use myself as an example. I used to smoke cigarettes, right? So I stopped smoking cigarettes, right? And I never stopped smoking cigarettes until I finally made my mind up. Once my mind was made up that I was going to stop, I stopped. But the first thing I had to do was admit to myself that something was wrong. At first, cigarettes ain't nothing wrong with smoking cigarettes. I had the thought process in my mind that nothing was wrong with smoking cigarettes, right? But once I admitted it, that something is wrong and you shouldn't be doing this, then you can go about fixing the problem. That's the same with us in the Black community. We have to admit that it's a problem. We have to admit that we have sexual predators in our community, right? We have to admit that sometimes we physically abuse people, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And this is the thing about the knowing or unknowingly. Whether you think you done something or not, if the opposite person tells you it affected them, you have to respect that. Whether if you meant harm or you didn't mean harm. If you do something or say something and your partner tell you what you did hurt them, whether how small, minute, big you think it is, if that's what they say, that's what you have to understand and respect. Because it's not what you think, it's what it's how they feel, right? So we have to admit this stuff. We have to admit that it's mental abuse in the Black community. We have to listen, all the stuff that we've been through to still be here, you're right, we mentally challenged. And I'm not talking about as far as slow and not able to think. I'm talking about as far as we have been abused as African Americans throughout our time here in America, right? So, and we have to admit this stuff. We have to admit it. And once we admit it, we can start moving forward and we can start pointing out the things that need to be changed and coming about solutions to help fix the remedies. Because prior to this, we had solutions. You know what I'm saying? Prior to this, we had a community. We had what's the word I'm looking for? We had a culture, and within our culture, it kept us safe from these problems. Just in our culture in itself, not everything was perfect, but it had, so long as we had our culture and we lived by that culture, certain things was not happening. So we have a blueprint. We have a case study that we can go back and document and study what they did, how they did, and how they survived and weeded out what was right and what was wrong. Now, are we gonna do it? Or we think we're gonna ruffle some feathers? You know, we don't want them ripples in the water. Well, I'm just telling you, I like ripples in the water. Have you ever been to the ocean? Now, sometimes it's good to be in a calm ocean, but I like to have waves. That's just me, you know, because I believe when you have waves, and I'm gonna say this, and I don't want to change the subject though, but the ocean has sounds, and the ocean speaks, and the ocean has 15 sounds that you get, and I'll leave it at that. But waves, with the waves, it help to talk. But I just leave it at that. Y'all want to jump in? Hold up. Katina said that 100% correct. We have got to stop silencing victims and defending criminals. She also put, my cousin is a professional boxer. He beat up his ex. Around 4 to 6 dudes came back, and he spent days in the hospital. He got what he deserved, and no, I have no empathy or sympathy for him. And she right. See, that's what has to happen.
That's right.
You have to make examples out of people. So the next time they think about something, it's in the back of their head. You have to make examples out of people. And I salute them brothers. Because you have to make examples out of people. No matter if it's me.
Wow, what happened? Hey, can y'all hear me?
Hi, Brother Nabat.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, so the brother his mic must have cut off.
I think his mic cut off. We'll wait for him to come back in.
All right.
There he is.
Yeah, I believe in street justice for the these hideous child molesters and people who do things to kids and older people. You know, gloves off when it comes to them. Gloves off. This is my opinion.
Brother Tate Harry, can you hear us?
Oh yeah, I'm finally back in, y'all. I'm finally back. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't know what I missed, y'all, but yeah, I'm with you now. Gotta have street justice, man. We gotta have street. And it used to, like, man, this is the thing. Like, it used to be codes, man. Certain things wasn't tolerated. Like, you know, but I don't want to get off the subject, man. I was hoping that we can have a couple more women in here that can, you know, ask some questions, you know, or bring situations out that we can discuss, y'all. But I don't want to, you know, bore y'all out and keep saying the same thing over and over again. So, you know, somebody got something y'all want to add on to, you know, that's dealing with this subject, as far as the physical, mental, or, you know, sexual abuse in the Black community? Or how about let's just start dealing with solutions then? Let's go to solutions if don't nobody else got anything. Maybe we need to just start talking about ways to reduce this stuff. And
I'll be honest, obviously I'm a Black woman. I'm going to be very honest on this. Majority of the women that I know have been sexually abused. And that is a lot. Some have not been abused by one person. Some have been abused by multiple people, due to having no protection from their mothers and fathers. Some Black women that I know have conceived 2 or 1 child in a marriage by being raped. I know 2 women that has happened to, and it's absolutely destroyed them. And I think that people think the sexual abuse only stops in children. You know, people need to stop weaponizing sex in a relationship. They need to stop weaponizing it as a way of punishing the woman or punishing people. Some people will, in a hateful manner, rape a child in the home because they hate the woman that they're with. I know people that have experienced that personally. So this all comes from mental instability, mental sickness. If we are having people in the community who are being brought up by, you know, traumatized parents, you know, let's not forget in America in the 80s, because they saw Black people fight for their rights, they fed everybody with crack cocaine, drugs, everything, completely decimated the Black community. We've never had any counseling since slavery, colonization, whatever you want to name it. I've never seen anybody being offered any trauma relief or anything. And now we've had a whole generations being brought up with all these traumatic things. It starts with the mental. The mental is the issue. It leads into the emotional, the sexual. It leads into the rest. So I'm going to say, do we value each other or do we not value each other? That is what it boils down to. That is the first solution. How much do we value each other? How much does the Black man value the Black woman? How much does the Black woman value the Black man? Because here we're not saying that, oh, it's only the girls that get abused, the boys get abused, the boys get abused as well. How much do we value each other? I see so many people, oh my God, I love being Black, I love being a Black person, I'm pro-Black. Are you creating more Black people? Are you invested in the Black family? Are you invested in the issues? There are so many people who say they're invested in the Black family, the Black people, but are not invested in the solutions. They want to add to the fighting, add to the chaos, add to the confusion. We need to stop and look in the mirror and go, do I value myself? We need to start add to how do we value each other as a people? Because let me tell you, out there, China, wherever you're gonna go, white people, they don't value us. Some of our own people look in the mirror and don't value themselves or don't value another person who looks like them because now they want to be the other person. If we don't value ourselves, we're not going to care about the deeper issues, the deeper problems that a child is going through that is 100 miles away from you. Right now, they're kidnapping our girls. In America, how many Black girls are being kidnapped and disappearing? Being sold on Wayfair. How many Black girls are disappearing right now? Who's out looking for them? Who's out looking for those girls? You know, we have to look in the mirror. How much do you value the person that looks like you for us to get to the bottom of these issues? Because let me tell you, right now they're hanging Black people. You saw the video of the guy that they nearly hung the other day, right? White people will do anything to defend their own, anything to defend whatever is a problem to them. What are Black people doing? We love to wait for a leader. Oh, let's let Haru start the movement and then I'll join. Let Neb start the movement, then I'll join. Let Brother Nabat start the revolution, then I'll join. We like to wait for a leader. Guys, There ain't no leader coming to save us. We need to save ourselves, but it needs to start from, how do you truly value yourself? Look in the mirror. What do you see back? If you see a monster, work on yourself, because we don't need your confusion in our problem solving. We don't need it. Sorry. If you've got problems, we don't need your problems in our problem solving. Go back in your corner, sort yourself out, and then come and join the flock. We don't need all that shit in our problem solving. Not everybody's going to be part of the solution. Those with issues, sit down. Think about, how do I solve my self-hatred? How do I solve what I look in the mirror and don't like? That is where we need to start. It starts with the valuing of each other. Then we can go into the deeper issues.
You nailed it right on the head. Ain't nobody gonna come save us. We got leaders out here. You know, we got leaders, our leaders and stuff. We're called leaders or whatever. But don't look for them to save yourself. You can take from what they told you, but they're not gonna save you. Ain't nobody coming out the sky to bust the sky open to save you. You gotta save yourself. Us men gotta do better by being around our children, having communication with our children more. And that's how I feel, you know. And stop just, it's all right praying and meditating, but damn, we gotta do some physical, roll our damn sleeves up and get our hands dirty. Right or wrong?
This is a contact sport. You got to get down and dirty. You know, it ain't one of these sports where you can just sit on the sideline and watch the cars drive around like NASCAR. You watch the cars drive around the circle 500 times. It's a contact sport. This is like football or basketball. You got to go out there and hand check somebody, right? You know, you got to go out here and get busy with it. And that's just what that's what it is, man. And we can't have, you know, can't let our community be safe havens for these people that you know, have done wrong by our people, man. You know, so that's it, man.
Yeah, Wayfair and Wayfair.com. You said it. I put it on my Facebook page. Wayfair is sex trafficking, and Etsy, another company called Etsy, ETSY, and Wayfair are sex trafficking. And I believe it's many, many more. And if Epstein wife survive next week, she's gonna bring a whole lot of people down.
Wow.
It's deep, man. The trauma of the black people is deep. Let's go back to the gynecologists, man. How they treated black women. Somebody that black people take more pain and treat us like 3/5 of a human being. You get what I'm saying? Like we're less than dogs. The trauma runs deep for us. And like you said, hurt people. It didn't come overnight. It didn't happen overnight. Go ahead, brother Nabat.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was about to touch on. So what the sister touched on is a fact that we have to get down to the origin of where all of this comes from, and it's mental. You see what I'm saying? It's a mental disease that we have taken on from another people in the way that they think and behave. You know, and we've pretty much taken on the mindset of Mukasu or Caucasians, Europeans, Arabs, and not even just those other races, but the ideologies of their religions, which play a big part in this as well. Because when you look into the Torah, when you look into the Quran, when you look into the Bible, all of it is deals with the suppressing women, suppressing children up until a certain age. Like, for example, in the Torah, children are really not allowed to express themselves, but up until to a certain extent until they're 13 years old. In the Torah, same thing is in the Quran. And for example, women are not allowed really to speak out in public at all in either one of those books. So it kind of It deals with foreign ideologies. It has a big deal to do, and it's not to say that women in these religions don't speak at all. I'm simply referring to a culture and a tradition of a foreign people that we didn't initially have of ourselves, and it kind of caused us to shift away from our own mindset and take on the mindset of another people. And that's what I pretty much extrapolated from what the sister was saying, and that's a key fact. That's a key factor. So, and the solution is what we have to do is we have to analyze the mindsets of our people, and like I was stating earlier, reestablish our own culture, our own traditions, morals, and ethics of our ancestors. And we may have to drop a lot of these ideologies and cultures, that we've pretty much taken on in this country. And we may call it African American culture and may be proud of it to a certain extent. But like I said, once we step back and analyze these things, we will see how it's not really ours. It's something that we have taken and made into our own, but it actually is to the detriment of our own people by taking on these ideologies. So I hope I'm being clear. That's the key factor in the solution is really analyzing the mindset of our people and changing
Yes, you are being very clear.
Brother Nabat, how you feel about Isaiah 3:12? Are you familiar with that verse?
No, I'm not exactly. I mean, you can quote it for me, then I'll tell you whether.
It's talking about the children be their oppressors. Something like a prophecy almost. The children be their oppressors, and the women should rule over them. Are you familiar with that verse?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not.
Not exactly, but I'm pulling it up now. So let's see what it says. It says, "As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead, they cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. The Lord standeth up to plead and standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into the judgment with the ancients of his people." So see, he seems that he's displeased with this. The verse right before it actually says, "Woe unto the wicked! It shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him." Then it says in verse 12, "As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them." So, yeah, I've heard that before. I'm not really sure what how they interpret that today.
Have you noticed around the last, what's going on right now? Not being misogynist and anything, okay? If anybody know me, I'm about my yacht. It's violent. But if you notice, children called 911. The children got more like running the household. We can't control our children anymore, for the most part, not all of us. And the women is now being alpha, and we're becoming beta. That LGBTQ, the feminist movement, all that stuff goes together. Do you see the connection between that verse? What's going on there? Anybody?
Well, I can see. I mean, it's yeah. I can see how that's that kind of I won't necessarily say that that's talking about today. It may have the same correlation of what you're saying, because I can see how children are no longer they no longer respect parents.
They run the house. They run the house. They're beating parents up. Right.
Yeah. And I can see how women are all I won't say women. Let's say some women, by way of the movements of like LGBTQ and other like feminist movements, are taking taking their positions of power. I don't look at that as a negative thing. To be as far as that, I can see how the God of the Torah, was seen it as a negative thing. That wasn't necessarily in his agenda to have women in leadership positions. But as far, I can definitely see how, what you mean, the key point.
Women leadership positions. I mean, talking about that, but how they're ruling. Yeah. Like we're being the women, they're being the men. You get what I'm saying? That's
Oh,
how
yeah.
this situation's going on
Like
right now.
the role
That's not
switching.
ancient
Yeah.
African. Yeah, women was on the throne, yes, queens, but there wasn't like the mentality was different. They wasn't feminized, had European feminist mindset. Like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. It wasn't. That's. Yeah, so I agree with you. It's like a lot in this country specifically. You have a lot of feminist movements. That's not dealing with at all. It's not dealing with my or order or justice or or any of our ancient cultures or traditions. These are just it's actually still patriotism, but it's feminism in a patriotic fashion. If you understand what I mean, like when you say patriarchal, this is a patriarchal society. Usually male rule, but just patriarchal deals with brute force, or even uncompromising type of mindset. In ancient times, in ancient Africa, in ancient Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, places like that. In South Africa, our ancestors and our traditions didn't have a mindset of not compromising with the opposite sex. You know what I'm saying? And I could just say, in this country, it's kind of just taking on either an extreme on one side for the males, trying ruling with brute force over women and suppressing them, and then also we have on the other extreme we have, and this is it's not just as plain as black and white, because you also have a lot of women that are resurrecting in this day and time. You know what I mean? That are taking on the mindset of our ancient ancestors. So we got to recognize and pay attention to that as well.
And I got a question for the whole world, real quick. Where is the feminist movement, this Europeanized feminist movement, at when it comes to that lady who got killed in Kentucky, in her bed, sleeping, won't doing nothing? Where the feminism at with that? I don't hear the feminists talking about that at all. That's a woman who got killed by men. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Where the feminists at?
You said the what?
Where's the feminists at?
Speaking
with a black woman who got killed over there in Kentucky, Louisville, when she was sleeping in her bed with her boyfriend. She was just sleeping, and they busted down her door. Where the feminists at with that? Where the feminists at?
I'll add to the point of what you guys are saying about the whole feminism and the children ruling the parents and everything. We now live in a society where, I mean, if you're in America or Europe, you live in a society where the state owns your child, right? The state owns your child. You can give birth to a child, but the way they set it up is you don't really own your child. The state is the owner of your child, right? If you whoop them, if they want to whoop you, if you do wrong to them, they can call the police and have you arrested because the state owns them. The state owns everything. This is part of them bringing the patriarchy into the world. Brother Nabat touched on this. In Africa, there was no whole, man, woman, whatever, The original trinity, which is Heru, Osiris, and Isis, is the balance, the Ma'at, the balance of life, right? Mother, father, and child. But now that's been destabilized because they believe in the patriarchy. The patriarchy has been trumped up by the Caucasians, and they brought it to Africa. They've made it a widespread situation. Feminism has nothing to do with the Black woman or the liberation of Black people. Feminism has existed because they have their own agendas,
right?
There is no point where feminism ever advantaged the Black woman, I have to say. If we're going to go back and really look into feminism, it never was an advantage for a Black woman or anybody who's Black. It's mostly a white woman movement that they were looking at for their own rights. Yeah, in retrospect, afterwards they've gained whatever they want to gain. Black women then entered into having some type of rights into that. But if we're going to talk about feminism, Black women, that has never been our movement. It's never been something that has ever really originally favored us, because Black women still in society are what? The most disrespected, least paid, still suffering the most. So if we're going to talk about feminism, that is a white thing, a white female thing that they started, did not include. They could have included Black women to get their rights back then, because Black people had way less rights, right? So I just think the whole problem we have is the disease, again, the mental disease of patriarchy was introduced to us, and look what it's done. Now Black women think feminism and this whole movement of, you know, the man is this, the man is bad, the man is too heavy-handed, the man is this. It's totally ridiculous. It's part of the disease that causes confusion, amongst ourselves. This is why we are here. Now everybody's talking about feminism. Everybody's talking about the women. It's because the state owns your child, the state owns your woman, the state owns the man. It's ridiculous because everybody wants to have some level of control. It is the toxic patriarchy that comes from who? The Caucasian man. When you really go back into Africa, there was no gender of power. There was nothing like that. There was, what we practiced was equilibrium, balance, ma'at. That is what ma'at means, balance. You know, it's things like that we have to be totally aware of. That we are people who originate from something, and now we are living in a state of confusion. Our people are in a state of mass confusion because we are living in a world that has nothing to do with us.
That's true. It's like my brother Nabat said, we don't have our culture. We're on another man's umbrella, trying to be like him, thinking like him. And I believe the man, you know, being a protector and stuff, but you don't overdo it now. You know, because we're not living in our culture. We don't know anything about our culture. And when most people think about Africa, they think about bones in the nose, you know. I'm gonna go and put it like it is. Not everybody in America, but they got the same old story they got from the Caucasian, or what they learned in the American school system about Africa. Over here, they taught you slavery, but they don't teach you what happened before slavery, what we were doing before slavery. See? But they give you Frederick Douglass everything after slavery, which Frederick Douglass was a great man, but they don't give you what was going on beforehand. You see? And they don't talk a lot about the dark ages either. If you know what I mean. You know what I mean? There's a whole lot of things. And education that's messed up. You know, so we're being abused intellectually too, coming through the American schools. What you thinking about?
I'm sorry, brother. I missed the last thing you said. What was the last thing you said?
I said we're also being abused mentally, probably intellectually, man, through our garbage school system that's teaching lies. You know, misinformation.
Yeah. I see. That's the key fact that I was noting on is the mindset. See the way our message quotes it, you know, it says is that we are literally out of our minds, and what that means is that, you know, we are out, you know, we are literally out of our own mindset in the way that, you know, we naturally thought, and we have taken on the mindset of foreign people and foreign religions, foreign cultures, foreign traditions, ethics, morals, and educational systems. And with that, you know, we literally begin to treat each other differently. Just a key example that should not be taken lightly is just the language in and of itself. the definitions of the words, the concepts that we have in this Western culture of everything. For example, everything black being bad and everything white being good. You know, we've heard this time and time again, this example, but this is literally a key factor. It's not just saying it, it's actually us teaching this to our children, even though we know these facts. We know that this society looks at everything black as bad and everything white as a form of purity and cleanliness and good and all of these positive concepts. We know the impact of these things, yet we continue to use the language. So it's a key. It's very important for us to relearn our ancient language, which is Misbatia. It's not Arabic. It's not Hebrew. It's not of European or Germanic descent. It's of ancient African descent, and it migrated all throughout the African continent. So this unlike Kiswahili, when we look at Kiswahili, which is simply a mixture of Arabic and Bantu, you know, we may think that Kiswahili is a good language that will unite our people when it's actually not, because it still carries words of a foreign concept. So the language is key, the education is key, the words that we use, the definitions that they carry, that, you know, just the entire way that we shape the minds of our children is very important. You know, because it gives us a reflection of ourselves as we communicate with each other. So, you know, that's just one of the key things that we need to re-educate ourselves on, as well as the history that, you know, I know you spoke on the history that in education in the schools that our children are taught. You know, they teach us that our story started with slavery, or, you know, it started in West Africa, and they just bunch us together. When in reality, when we do the research, we found that, you know, they pulled people from multiple parts of Africa, and different islands surrounding the Americas as well. It literally bunched us all together. So we just need to re-educate ourselves. You know, also noting that many of us were already here. Not all of us came or brought over, you know, on ships from Africa. Many of us are indigenous to this continent right here. So it's just like many of these things that we've been miseducated of about ourselves is what causes us, you know, to mistreat each other, not knowing who we are. So I just think that that's a key factor that we need to do. And, you know, one of the things that we need to start with is the language, because it will help us to be able to communicate with each other effectively without using the language of our oppressors. A language that is literally designed to keep us disunified, if y'all understand what I mean. That's pretty much what I had to say on that.
Another thing about raising children, another problem I see, I'm not gonna tell you through experience of what I've seen. I know a whole lot of other people seen it, that we try and be friends instead of being parents to our children. Now I did mention that we need to be open, have conversations, and make them feel warm and welcome to talk about anything. What's happening in school, what's going on in life, what happened at your uncle's house, what happened at your friend's house, whatever. But we got a systematic, like a generational. How can you be a good parent and your mama want a good parent and your grandma want a good parent? So they going by what they know, and they only get worse and worse. So somebody got to break the cycle. They're having babies but don't know how to be a parent. You see, they out here partying with their children, giving their children drinks and smokes, and, you know, letting everybody come over, sleepovers, smoking all kinds of drugs and drinking around the children. You know, it damaged them. How y'all feel about that?
That's all a part of the, you know, the culture that we've taken on, the foreign mindset. So we need literally, when I say we need to drop all of these things, This is the way it needs to be done. Even when they use the word brainwash, they make that out to be a negative thing. But the way our master teacher again taught it to us is, with sound right reasoning, we analyze that word. To brainwash means to clean your brain. Obviously our brains are corrupted, and have been dirtied with, the concepts of another people, with the mindset of another people. And so we must have our brains cleaned of these things, and again, so if you look at it from that perspective, to wash your brain or to clean your brain of foreign concepts and of things that, cause you to look at your own people in a negative light, such as religion, Eastern religion specifically, which enslaved African people, which demonized African cultures and religions as paganistic, as evil, as witchcraft, as negative things, and actually taking on those concepts and ideologies have us looking at each other as evil, paganistic, demons, devils. You see what I'm saying? So literally, we have to give them back everything and take back our original mindset. We have to clean our minds of these foreign concepts. And that is a form of, an actual fact, that is a form of brainwashing, which is what would be necessary. But with that, we must be re-educated. We must be re-educated about who we truly are.
A pagan, by definition, just something. If you don't believe in Christianity, you're a pagan, basically. That's the European term for paganism. And actually, Christianity is only a 2,000-year-old religion. And people don't think that's a cult. It's an old cult. It's not natural. It wasn't here in the beginning of time. Nor was Judaism was here in the beginning of time. But they got the nerve to put down a pagan, a cult, with that 2,000-year-old self. Y'all understand that, Sister Natasha?
Yes, I'm here.
They got the nerve to call somebody a cult, a pagan, and they're new as they are, new as that religion is. They don't call somebody a pagan or a cult.
I think I'll say something that some people might not be happy with, but I think certain religions, Islam, Christianity, whatever you want to call it, was introduced to make more compromised African people. When you have a compromised people, you can do whatever you want with them, because the more compromised that they become, the more compromised people that you have, the more you are able to introduce things that don't belong to them as a community and as a people. And as Brother Nabat said, we need to go back to who we were. But there are people in our community who struggle with that, identifying as African or whatever they want to identify as, because at the end of the day, the matter of the fact is Black people are the natives of America, right? The whitewashed history we've been told about, oh, this, that, and the other, the boats and whatever. Yeah, some people came from Africa, but Black people are the real natives of America. Hence, they will not pay reparations. So going back to the topic that we have today of sexual, physical, and mental abuse in the Black community, the whole fact that we are now a remixed type of people, we are now a whole version of what we are not. I think it's easy, and it was made easier for us personally and as a group to be mentally abused by other people, because slavery didn't start by the white man. The Arabs came, did their own stuff, introduced the white man to us and said, listen, you can kind of do this with these people. Mental abuse was brought into us, right? Physical abuse has happened. We have gone through the most disgusting physical abuse. I read some encounters in the Caribbean islands where people worked so hard as slaves that bones broke in the midst of them working. Bones, arms came apart from working. And yet we are called the laziest race, the laziest people. We are not a lazy people. Sexual abuse then was introduced to us because we were a people who were enslaved. When you are enslaved and you are owned, a white man could rape a black woman as many times as he wanted. She was his property. He could rape a black man as many times as he wanted. It was his property. But when people sag their pants and they think it's cool, it's not cool. You're going back to colonial times when they broke the back of a buck. You sag your pants to show that you've been broken as a man. You've broken that buck. But we take on these cultures and we think we're owning it, we're empowering it to ourselves. No, it's demonizing ourselves. Stop taking on things that don't belong to us. The sexual abuse happened to children. Imagine if you're a slave owner and you've got a whole bunch of kids you can do whatever you want to do to. These people did whatever they wanted with our children because they were their property.
Right.
Right? Nobody came and said these diseases have been put into our people. The sexual, physical, and mental abuse in the Black community is now being done because we've experienced it in some of the harshest ways. Harshest ways that some of us are not even prepared to talk about or prepared to look at. It is that vile and that violent. Some of us are not prepared to look into the details. I love researching. All I do is research. And some of the things I've come across are very disturbing. But we have people in our community who want to emulate the people who have introduced this stuff into our community and are in denial that this stuff was introduced to our community. There are people who think Black people have always been this abusive. Do you know what the land of the ancestors was like before these animals came there? There were certain words in our languages that did not exist because the land was that peaceable. We have to fix and go back to who we were before, whether some people want to accept the fact that they're African or not. As long as you are Black, you come from Africa. You originate from Africa. And whether you are from other colors, the Black person born you. We're the parent human. I do believe being a first parent human makes you very, very forgiving. I do believe that sometimes comes as a fault to Black people. We are the parent human. We are the first human. I do think we're very forgiving because it may come from that, where it is your child that you born who hates you so much. But there is a point where we need to accept the fact that within the human race, there are faulty breeds. They are faulty breeds.
Right.
And they have bred with each other and they populate the world now, but they are not normal because the things that they like and the things they like to engage in are not human. Even in a physical sense, they are not normal in a physical sense.
You know, just to add on, make it real quick. You know, about the indigenous. Yes, we are indigenous, but everything comes out of the motherland. We've been here longer than white people ever was existed. Adult was adult. We was in this land called America, I met some, whatever you want to call it. I see a lot of people in my Facebook timeline talking about I'm not African, I'm indigenous. Yes, half truths. You are indigenous to every damn thing. Indigenous to Australia, Asia, but it still started out of Africa. You don't need to debate whatever, but out of Africa.
Every single
everything.
thing,
So you are indigenous to
everything.
the whole universe. You're indigenous to it, yes. But you ain't got to put a feather in your head and this Africa. Damn. Y'all, some of these niggas sound crazy. Yeah, you're indigenous, but don't get out your damn man. Their fathers were Africans too. The damn American Indian ain't them Black African and got raped by them damn Mongols. And then there you go. You got Wahoo Medanya. You got red man, okay? Redskin. That's all they are. They won't hear before Africans. Are y'all crazy? I'm talking about anybody who listens to this, they need to go through the research. What about the Olmecs? Where they come from? Everybody keeps talking about Olmec. I'm indigenous. They came from the Kemetic people, Africans. People really need to do the research. And then the traumatic.
I don't even know why people need to research it. It is just so obvious, you know, but I think the moment we start accepting the fact that, you know, we are African and whatever, we can then go back and accept the culture of where we come from. I think that is the first acceptance that we also need to have as a people, because there are a lot of people who don't believe that they're African. They think being African makes them a savage or means they identify with savages or something that is so negative, or oh no, if they admit the fact that they're African, it somehow makes them less of a human. You are part of the problem. If we go back to where we come from, like Brother Nabat said, there's so many things we can heal from. There's so many things we can help ourselves with. You know, there are people who are psychologists who have looked at, you know, the Black community in terms of slavery and everything. And then they've gone to Africa and they've gone, yes, people in Africa have gone through certain things as well, you know, but because of the system that exists in the family, something helps in the abuse that they have faced. So it's the whole thing. Admit the fact that you are African, whatever color the hell you are, but Black people first.
Exactly. And then another thing you were talking about, the torture. Yeah, they torture us so bad, and all that torture is in our DNA through the years. And guy go against basically have sex with his sister to make a strong baby. All that was going on. And that's, you know, it's damn near in our DNA. All that far as and listen now, far as all the damn trauma, it got passed on. We're in bad shape. And like on the bite, and like you said, Sister Natasha, it's gonna take culture. That's a spiritual healing, you know. But we gotta get to our cultural ways. That's all I had to say about that.
Brother Nabat, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm just listening to y'all. I'm still here.
Listen, yo, I'm gonna get out of here. One of my friends, he's a aspiring rapper, and I invited to one of his videos. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go support him. His brothers I ain't seen in a while, probably 10 years. So I'm gonna go support them brothers there and go check them out. I enjoyed the show, and I hope everybody listening enjoy their weekend and be safe. All right,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Wadu. Peace.
All right, most definitely, brother. Wadu. Yeah. So is there anything else y'all want to talk about, family?
No, I think we've exhausted the topic. It's quite an emotional topic, isn't it?
Yeah, it quite is. Well, I tend to not look at it. You know, we have to get past the emotional aspect of it. And I'm not saying get past it because I know it can be very emotional for, you know, just for families, you know, or individuals who have experienced it themselves. But I'm talking about as far as the solutionary aspect. Just closing out, family. We definitely need to get serious about this, and it's definitely going to require us getting out of our emotions, and because we may have certain emotional attachments to a particular family member who's molesting someone. and in order to address these types of things, we will have to I will say subside on the emotional you know, aspects until we can really get down to some full solutions, which we already spoke about. And like the sister said, we've exhausted. So we all know what we got to do, family. We could definitely reconvene and, you know, do a part 2 to this, because I think it's definitely necessary. But yeah, this is definitely a great topic.
Yeah, no, I really I'm glad that I was invited to be part of this discussion. And I think, you know, everyone that's been listening or will listen later, hopefully we'll appreciate the points that we brought out. I think everybody had a great contribution, and I think definitely a part 2 is needed, because what you just said is people might have an emotional attachment to someone who is an abuser. I think that is, you know, a very, very, very strong point that you've just made. So yeah, thank you. I'm not sure if Brother Seharu is still on here, but I think we're all gonna sort of sign out, aren't we?
Yep, yep. So all right, family. Look forward to the next one, and peace. Wadu.
Peace, Wadu.